Hi everyone, welcome back to the Movie Reviewers 100. My name is Scott, also known as CINERAM here on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't visited our Facebook like page, please do so. The link is in the description below on the YouTube video page. If you're watching this on Facebook, obviously you're already there. If you want to like that page, you can comment on videos and just on the channel in general. Is there a particular theme you'd like us to tackle? We do a different theme every week. An actor, an actress, director, genre, what have you. Would love to hear from you about that. This week our theme is Dennis Quaid. We had a review from Al earlier this week on Flight of the Phoenix. And I wanted to do a movie called Frequency, which I'd seen a few years ago, but unfortunately I wasn't able to obtain it. So I decided to rent another one of Dennis Quaid's movies that I hadn't seen yet, called What to Expect When You're Expecting. I had avoided this movie for a number of different reasons. It reminded me quite a bit of another ensemble comedy called He's Just Not That Into You, which is based on a non-fiction book, but it's not the story of a particular person or group of people. It's more like an advice book, really. What to Expect When You're Expecting, of course, is all about pregnancy and getting ready for the arrival of your child, in whatever form that may be. Like I said, there's a large ensemble cast here. I really liked He's Just Not That Into You. Is a fun movie, and lots of actresses I really liked in this. Here we've got Cameron Diaz, Jennifer Lopez, Elizabeth Banks, Anna Kendrick, Rebel Wilson, and on the male side, of course, in addition to Dennis Quaid, who has a supporting performance, you've got guys like Ben Falcone, and Rodrigo Santoro, and the guy who stars in Glee as the teacher. I can't remember his name, sorry. This movie was directed by a guy named Kirk. Brian Kirk, I think his name is. He was the director of a Robert De Niro drama called Everybody's Fine, which I like very much. If you're not familiar with that movie, Robert De Niro's a widower, and he's got like 4 kids, one of whom died. I think he might have committed suicide. Anyway, he asks that his 3 remaining kids come and visit him, but they're too busy, so he decides to get on a plane and visit each of them. Sam Rockwell, Kate Beckinsale, and Drew Barrymore were his kids in that movie. I like that movie a lot. So I was like, oh, well, you know, I like that movie. Maybe I'll like this one too. Didn't like it as much. It's a pretty silly movie for the most part. Very, very, heavy on the physical humor, pratfalls, things like that, and of course all of the comedy that comes with the inconvenience of having a baby growing inside you if you're an expectant mother. So Anna Kendrick is sort of the odd person out in this group of characters. There's a number of different sets of characters. She basically runs a food truck, and there's another guy she meets who also runs a food truck. They have a little flirtation. They have one-nighter. She ends up pregnant, and so they talk about maybe raising the baby together, even though they weren't really dating in the first place. Then you've got Cameron Diaz character, who is the star of a dance, no, it's more like an exercise show, The Biggest Loser. Kind of a Biggest Loser type show. She unexpectedly finds herself pregnant with her partner. They're not married, but they've been dating for a while, ever since they were on this dance show together. And how does the dance show play? I forget exactly. She was on the show, she wasn't the host of it. She's the host of The Biggest Loser type show. All the characters are connected tenuously to each other, despite aside from the fact that they're all expecting babies. Anyway, her boyfriend is the guy from Glee. Then you've got, let's see, the Elizabeth Banks character. She basically runs a store for baby goods, baby products, you know, and she's also written a children's book, which is extremely lousy, and I don't know how great her business is doing, but she's in a happy marriage with Ben Falcone. If you're not familiar with him, he is married to Melissa McCarthy in real life, and he was also the director of her movie Tammy, which came out in the summer. Ben Falcone's father is played by Dennis Quaid, and Dennis Quaid is a former race car driver, big man's man, you know, very famous. He's married to Brooklyn Decker, who, if you're familiar with her, she used to be one of the Sports Illustrated bikini models that appeared in the issue every year, and she's gone on to star in movies like Battleship and that Adam Sandler movie where she's in the yellow bikini. It's hard to miss her. So anyway, she's actually younger than Elizabeth Banks, of course, which is a real issue for Ben Falcone, because he's always had this sort of competitive thing with his dad, and just, you know, he goes to Dennis Quaid's house, he lives in this big mansion off of a golf course, and he says, guess what? My wife and I, Elizabeth Banks, were expecting our first child, and Dennis Quaid's like, you're kidding, we're expecting kids too! my wife here, my young, beautiful, Sports Illustrated wife is going to be having twins, and Nicole's like, oh gosh, again, more of this competition. Dennis Quaid really has some of the best moments in the movie. It's not like the best Dennis Quaid movie to see, but he's got some good bits in it. So then there's Jennifer Lopez. She's in a relationship. She's married to Rodrigo Santoro, who played Xerxes in 300. Thankfully, he doesn't have all the piercings everywhere. He looks normal. And she is not able to conceive a child, so they're adopting a baby from Ethiopia. So all these people are sort of interconnected in tenuous ways. There's also a group of, they call it, I think, the Dad's Club or something like that. It's just basically a bunch of guys who get together in the park, I guess it's Central Park in New York City, and hang out with each other and trade stories about being dads away from the wives and mothers so they can be a little bit more candid. People in this group include Chris Rock and Thomas Lennon from Reno 911, and a couple other guys I'm not as familiar with. Yeah, there's some funny moments in there too. Ultimately, it's a pretty harmless movie, unless you consider J-Lo's line about how, you know, she really wants to have a baby and she can't do the one thing that a woman is supposed to do. I can imagine a lot of feminists getting very angry with that line right there. And so it's ultimately a fairly harmless movie. Not something that I'd really recommend. It's got a few good moments there, but nothing that I would go, hey, you gotta see this movie, it's hilarious, or it's just really poignant or whatever. If you want to see a comedy, a pregnancy comedy that's also actually quite poignant, I would suggest 9 Months, which has a really good birthing scene. Julianne Moore is very, very convincing, giving birth to the baby in that movie. Also, I really like the movie She's Having a Baby with Kevin Bacon and Elizabeth Perkins. That's a John Hughes movie, came out in the late 80s. One of the last John Hughes movies he directed. Really good film. Yeah, not a strong recommendation for what to expect from You're Expecting. Not really a recommendation at all, really. I mean, if you like the people in the movie, you'll probably enjoy it, but I wouldn't go out of my way to see it. Although I didn't get to see Frequency, I'm more than prepared to talk about it. I wanted to rewatch it for this video, I just didn't get the chance. Frequency is a movie that came out in 2000. I'm sure a lot of you are really familiar with it. It's a science fiction movie. Dennis Quaid plays a firefighter with a young son in the 70s who has a ham radio, and he's able, through this weird celestial phenomenon, to actually communicate via the ham radio with his grown son in the present day, who's played by Jim Caviezel. It's this thing where they're both basically on the same ham radio, and yet the northern lights, or whatever the phenomenon is that's allowing them to communicate over time, allows them to have a conversation with each other in the two different time periods. And together they figure out that there's a serial killer running around, and they work together to try to figure out who it is. And there's actually a fight scene between each one of them has a fight scene with the same guy in their own respective time periods. It's a little bit crazy, but it's a lot of fun. Also, one of our Facebook friends mentioned Inner Space on our Facebook page, and that's a really fun movie. I've loved that movie since it came out. I saw it 5 times in the theater. Dennis Quaid plays a test pilot who is part of an experiment. He gets into a submersible pod and is shrunk down to microscopic size and then injected into the bloodstream of a living organism. He thinks it's supposed to be a laboratory rabbit. It turns out it's Martin Short, and there's all sorts of wacky hijinks there. It's a really fun movie from Joe Dante, who's the director of Gremlins and Small Soldiers. We've got a new theme starting tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see a bunch of videos on this particular person, someone who I enjoy quite a bit. So I'm really looking forward to this theme. Hope you'll tune in to the videos that we have. And of course, if you haven't seen any of the other reviews, any of their videos on our channel, of course, they're all there for you to check out. Lots of different actors and actresses and directors we focused on over the years. I joined this channel in 2011, so I've been on it for like 3.5 years now. I just can't believe that it's already been that long. Yeah, it's been lots of fun, and I'm looking forward to many more. Thanks very much, guys, and I'll see you again real soon. Bye.